Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Psychiatric Exile. This is the last video in this series where I've been sharing my top 100 animated films of all time. So these are the last 10 movies. As usual, I will be leaving links to the previous videos on the description below. And also, as usual, just a reminder this is just a subjective exercise for fun. So hope you guys can share your thoughts on the movies I'll be mentioning, as well as maybe share your top 10 list. Which ones are your top animated movies of all time? At number 10, from 2008, is The Skycrawlers, directed by Mamoru Oshii. This is a serious movie that explores some serious issues, especially about identity, philosophy of mind, existentialism, the look for meaning in one's existence. And it comes highly recommended. I found the animation and the characters a little bit on the robotic side, not a lot of expression. So your mileage may vary when it comes to the art style, but other than that, nothing ugly about this movie. Number 9, from 1997, directed by Hideaki Anno and Kazuya Tsurumaki, The End of Evangelion. This is the movie that properly finalized the story of the anime series. As it's well known by now, the last couple of episodes were rushed, and a lot of things were not mentioned or pretty much ran over in order to finish the story. And this movie fully fleshes out the what happened at the end of the anime. So in that sense, it does the TV anime justice. This is the ending that the series deserves, and like I mentioned, it clarified the final sequence of events in that story. I, Now, when it comes to the actual instrumentality project, once Shinji goes into the instrumentality project, I actually prefer the version from the TV series to the version on this movie, but they're both good. And I mean, this version is pretty good too. Just I prefer the original. Um, but other than that, nothing ugly about this movie. Number 8, the classic Ghost in the Shell, directed by Mamoru Oshii. Again, second time in the list this week. From production IG, released way back in 1995. This is a 4.5 out of 5 for me. Great concept and story, as well as art and animation. Also exploring issues of theory of mind, philosophy of mind, the role of memory in identity, and so forth. At this stage in the list, you'll seldom see anything mentioned in the bad or ugly categories. And this one is an absolute classic. Number 7, and the last movie in the list that I consider a 4.5 out of 5 before we get to the 6 movies that I consider to be perfect 5 out of 5 in my view. It's Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke, released in 1997, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Another absolute classic of the genre, exploring issues of civilization versus nature, humanity's place in the world, how to live in harmony with the natural world as we fulfill our views of progress, and adapting ourselves and adapting ourselves to the world and the world to ourselves. Outstanding music, unbelievable characters. These characters will live in your heart for a long, long time after you watch the movie. Number six on my first 5 out of 5 movie in the list is Redline from Studio Madhouse, directed by Takeshi Koike, released way back in 2009. And this movie is just so cool. It may be the pinnacle of the concept of anime as cool. The character designs, the animation, the fact that the art is hand drawn and not CGI, the amount of hours and work this must an effort this must have taken. It's overwhelming to think of fun story, incredible pace. It's probably one of the movies that I've watched the most uh, in my lifetime, and this one on my number two, I think, for different reasons, are in terms of art and animation the pinnacle of uh, animated movies in general and anime in particular. Number five, perfect for different reasons, is In This Corner of the World, released in 2016, is the newest movie in my top 10 from Studio Mappa and directed by Sunao Katabuchi. Uh, it explores the physical and psychological scars of World War II in Japan and its citizens. Incredible characters, heart wrenching story. I mean, this has moments that I'll never be able to forget. It starts a little slow, but man, when it picks up, it's relentless. Very powerful film. Number three, from Studio Ghibli, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, released in 2013 and directed by Isao Takahata. It's another movie with an incredibly beautiful art style. Uh, I remember there's a scene where Princess Kaguya elopes from her home because she doesn't want to get married. And the animation becomes so abstract, so fluid, so smooth, so beautiful in colors that it's really a sight to behold. And the music here, it's also incredible. This might be my favorite Ghibli soundtrack. There is a video in YouTube of Joe Hisaishi directing the orchestra, playing some of the main themes of this soundtrack, and it's very worth checking it out. Another thing that I like is that this movie fully fleshes out the classic Japanese folk tale, which is not very long, and by fleshing it out, it gives it more room to breathe. It goes deeper into the psychology of the characters, and that's something that I appreciate. Number three, another Isao Takahata film, Only Yesterday, also from Studio Ghibli, 1991. Perfect 5 out of 5 for me. And this is a movie that it may be you may be in a better position to appreciate once you make it to at least your at the very least your late 20s, maybe your early 30s, or maybe even later in life. When you look back at the child that you were, and how that influenced the adult that you are. You become aware of things that were always there, but you hadn't noticed. And you become more forgiving of your younger self, of your background, of your parents, and make peace with all of that, and are able to eventually move forward and move on with your life in a more fulfilling and self-aware way. Incredible film, one of the best movies I've ever seen, animated or otherwise. And nothing bad or ugly about this movie. Number two is Metropolis, released in 2001, directed by Rintaro, released by Studio Madhouse. And this, together with Redline, must be the two animated movies I've watched the most in my life. I make it a point to watch this movie at least once a year. And it's one of those works of art that every time that I every time that I'm exposed to it, I find something new to admire and enjoy. Uh, Incredible artwork. I mean, the level of detail here, the world building, the levels of the city, the details of all the buildings, the colors, the movement of the characters, music, and this is truly an achievement. This and Redline, I think that technically, probably in technical terms, the two superior movies in my list. Um, definite classic and definite recommendation if you haven't watched it. In fact, any of the movies in my top 10, I would highly recommend you to watch them if you're an anime or animation fan and you're not familiar with them. Although chances are you've heard of all of these. And number one, Grave of the Fireflies. Yes, Isao Takahata has three of my four favorite movies, Metropolis being the exception. Another release from Studio Ghibli, this one released in 1988, famously released as a double bill with My Neighbor Totoro, which is not in my list. And it's a very different movie. And like Roger Ebert once said, this is one of the best war movies ever made, animated or not. And also, like Only Yesterday, this is an exploration of when you look back at your earlier years, but this time you have to grapple with issues of regret and trauma. Uh, Incredible characterization and just absolute masterpiece of tone. Um, and a movie that probably wouldn't have worked if it wasn't animated. In fact, they made a live version. I'm not sure how good that is, but even if made with the best resources available in terms of directing, acting, effects, and budget, I think a live version would never work like the animated version. So there you have it. This is my top 10. Feel free to share your own favorites or your thoughts on these movies. It was great to go through this exercise and organize my favorite movies. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And well, I have a few more projects coming up. I think for now, for the next few weeks, I'll be concentrating on the analysis of film more than a list of my top preferred titles. But we'll see what the next few weeks bring. As usual, thank you so much for your time, and you guys take care of yourselves. Bye.